Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be showing you how to take your mixes from this to this. If you've been around my channel for long enough, you know that my background is in engineering. I actually started that before producing. Today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how to mix a beat from start to finish and explain everything. There's a million different ways to mix, and especially to mix beats. I love mixing. If you're watching this video, maybe you hate mixing, maybe you love it, but after this, it should be able to help you understand a little bit more or maybe get a better mix. At least I hope. Let's go. All right, so this is the beat right here. I reset everything and took all the plugins off. I did make this beat in a tutorial, so you might remember these hi-hat effects, but this one was just more processing to get a certain sound. And then one of these vocals, yeah, this one has M-auto pitch and a phaser. It was just to get the vibe that I wanted going, so I did leave those on. So there's a lot of different options when you're going to mix the beat. You can start with drums. You can mix it all together, which is honestly the best thing you could do, especially if you're getting into engineering, is you're always gonna have the full mix playing so that you're not soloing individual things and getting lost. But that's kind of hard to translate on YouTube while I'm explaining things to you, because I really want you to hear what I'm doing with each individual part. So today we're gonna be starting off with drums. The main three things we're going to focus on is EQ, compression, limiting for dynamics and making room in the mix, then creative effects, reverbs, delays, stuff like that, which is all honestly preference, and then leveling. And the biggest part to getting your beat mixes to sound good is your sound selection. If your sound selection is bad, it doesn't matter how much EQ, you're going to be EQing, compressing, limiting, distorting all day long, and you're going to just be working a lot harder, and it's not even close to the type of kick sound you want. You're just going to be wasting time, to be honest. You're going to be sitting there EQing all day, and it's just never going to happen. Start with good sounds, and you're going to see in this video, because of the sounds I'm using, there isn't much I need to do to correct them. It's just more to enhance it. First thing I'm going to do is throw this kick into mono. I don't know why it's panning a little bit to the left. It is a mono kick. The 808's already in mono, so I don't have to throw it. I can hear it. Sometimes 808s have a little bit of side frequencies, so you can leave them, but most of the time your one-shot 808s are going to be in mono. If you want to be safe and just have it go straight up the middle, you can just throw it in mono like that. So these are all defaulted at 0 as well in the channel rack. I'm going to just press play and see if we need to get more headroom, because these are probably going to be hitting really close to 0. Yeah, so I'm gonna get some more headroom off these. I'm gonna just go into the channel rack, and I'm gonna bring down the kick and the 808 just a little bit. So if I put plugins on it, the original signal isn't already clipping into those plugins. So let's just do that real quick. Let's shoot for, like, I don't know, 6 or 8. We can always turn it up later with clippers and all different types of stuff like that. So I just want to make sure we have some headroom. Have the kick in mono like that. Now I'm going to go to the mixer and bring this down, because the 808 now has headroom. As you can see, the kick has headroom, snares, all that's cool. So I'm going to just level these out, start with the kick and the 808. I want the kick to be hitting harder than the 808, but I want the 808 still being loud. This snare needs to come down as well. It still has headroom before the mix, so it's all good. We'll just turn it down right here. Let's just level these out. Hi-hat's really loud. Now the first thing I see that the 808 is doing is it's kind of jumping a few dB. If we were to watch it right here on the meter, I'm going to just put a little marker right here when it's first hitting. As you can see, it's kind of jumping. I just kind of want to tame a little bit of those peaks. So I'm going to just throw a limiter on it. I'm not doing anything with the limiter other than just evening out those peaks. And that's just so later I can get a louder final beat on the master, because I can push a little more without having to worry about that 808 and kick jumping out. So you can use any limiter. We'll just use a... We'll use a stock limiter in FL Studio. All I'm going to do is bring the ceiling down. So you're going to see that there's little peaks happening, right? I'm going to just go in here and bring it right to about here. We'll do a fast attack, fast release. So I'm just catching those little parts that are jumping out. And all that's doing is telling it not to go over the ceiling, which is the green. And then as you can see, the purple is doing the reduction. We're seeing how much reduction is happening. So that's cool. That's just controlling that a little bit more. As I mentioned, it's a really good rule of thumb to mix with everything playing. But for this tutorial and for you to be able to hear what's happening, that's kind of why we're doing things soloed. So let's bring in the hi-hat effects, and then we'll bring in the rest of these and just get nice levels. I like to have my open hats kind of loud, but not too loud. I want them to hit with the 808 and accent it, but not stand out too much. can adjust all these later on. Let's go to the perk right here. Just get levels going. That's obviously really loud. Let's turn that down. So just going off ear. Cool. And then you'll see on the master, we're getting close to 0 on the master channel and everything's gonna add up. So I'm gonna just go over here, hold control, and I'm gonna bring all these down just a little bit like that. This is gonna keep the same levels that we have, but pretty much bring the whole mix down before it feeds into the master channel over here. So we could just do that at any point, honestly. Okay, cool. Because once we add all the rest of the stuff in, it's just going to build up higher and higher. Obviously, you've seen in a lot of videos, you could take the kick, put a soft clipper on the master and like turn it up all the way. That's something we could do towards the end. Right now, I'm just trying to explain it a little bit so you can understand like gain staging as you go through it. Like I said, there's a million different ways to mix. So we're kind of doing a hybrid of both. So now we're going to add in the melodies. They're just going to be the normal versions of the VST without any reverbs. I took all the creative stuff off, so they're kind of boring. But let's go ahead and start off with the main part being this guitar. Actually turn up this right here so we have a little bit more volume to work with. So let's just go leveling first. First thing I'm going to do on this guitar is go ahead and get some EQ. I kind of want to clean up a little bit of that low end so it's not clashing. So I'm going to go over here and just get a low cut, and we're just going to bring this up. There's already not that much low end in it, but there is a little bit around that 100 area. I'm gonna get rid of that. And then I'm gonna add some reverb. We're gonna adjust this later, but this sounds really boring without any reverb. On the actual beat when I made it, I had reverb on it, so I'm bringing it back. You could use any types of reverbs you want. I'm gonna bring this mix down to like maybe 30%. I just needed to hear some reverb because this is a very dry guitar. Let's hear this. Down. And it's always good to check your mix in mono, so we're going to throw it in mono. You start to hear where things are building up and clashing when you're in mono, so I could definitely hear that I need to do some adjustments on this guitar in the low mids area. So let's go ahead and press play and listen. So I want to get rid of this area a little bit, just bring it down. I'm going to boost the highs a little bit. Let's bring in some more parts of this. Let's bring in the flute. Levels first. Vocal. It's kind of like a flute too. I have that labeled wrong. I think in the video I just had down as a vocal because the other one was an arcade vocal. All right, I'm gonna do some panning as well. Panning is very important. I'm gonna pan this vocal to the left, pan this flute a little bit to the right, and I'm gonna just level all these together, then we'll get into the effects processing. But first we start to get levels, we get panning going, we're focusing on gain staging, and then we can get into creative different things. I'm usually doing this all as I go, but that's gonna be a little hard to explain in the tutorial if I'm like bringing things down, throwing plugins on it. So I'm trying to do this in a step sequence order, I guess you could say, to where it makes sense to understand. But you can obviously be adding reverbs to things. You do whatever you want when you're mixing. Just do it right now. Yeah, we got to do that. I got to put reverb on this right now, so we're going to do that. I just need to hear it with something else. Let's go get a different reverb. Let's do a low plate and bring this up here, bring the mix down. Let's go like that. EQ it as well. I kind of want to have this tucked in the back, so I'm going to go low and high. This is obviously preference depending on how you want vocals to be in the beat. I like to have them just kind of tucked in the back with a lot of reverb to get out the artist way. This one needs some EQ and reverb as well. I'm gonna go in here and get rid of some of these lows. Really just kind of cutting out lows, just shaping different sounds to make sure they all work together. This one's really mid-high focus, so I'm gonna leave it like that. It does need some reverb though. I'm gonna widen this out a little bit as well. Cool, it's starting to sound good. The guitar, I wanna put some delay on it just to kind of give it a little bit more movement. We're just gonna put, you know what, we could just do the delay 3 right here. I'm gonna bring this down. We'll do a ping pong, go like this. Cool. Okay, it's on its way. Balance things out a little more. Bring the snare up, counter snare. All right, so for the kick in 808, I do want to add some sidechaining to this. You don't always have to sidechain your kicks in 808s, and there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. I'm going to do this in a really simple way that I do in a lot of beats, which is just a full sidechain. So every time the kick hits, the 808 is going to move out the way. But I do it in a way, and I'll show you, that it's only off the kick's timing, so you don't really hear it. This will help later in the process getting the overall beat louder, because the kick and the 808 take up a whole lot of room. So whether you're using a limiter on the master or a soft clipper or any type of clipper, whatever you're using to get your overall loudness, having these not compete so much when they hit at the same time is going to allow you to get your beat even louder. You could sidechain just certain frequencies using like the peak controller and an EQ. I know people use Soothe and different plugins where you just kind of move the kick frequency out of the 808 instead of a full sidechain duck, but a quick little sidechain is going to be all I need for this. So I'm going to have the kick selected, go over here, right click, sidechain to this channel. And we do have that limiter that's just taking care of those peaks. We're going to throw another limiter on so we could do this sidechain. So we'll go to Fruity Limiter. Then we go compressor. And since we did that sidechain, now we can right click here and kick appears. So I'm going to solo these so you can hear what's going on. I'm going to just bring the threshold all the way down, ratio all the way up. And the reason I'm doing this is because now you're going to be able to hear the release. So I'm going to bring sustain down and just press play. Right, let's go over here to release and make it really long so you can hear what's going on. So that's obviously not the effect I want to go with. Probably somewhere around there. If you go too fast, you're going to get a lot of distortion. So you can't be like, oh, I just want it to move for like 1 millisecond like this. You could hear all the nasty distortion. Cool. And then I'm going to back the ratio off. I'm going to go like 2 to 1 maybe. And then I'm going to bring the threshold all the way up and just slowly start to turn it down. So honestly, listening to it all together would be the best. Now for the snare. This specific snare sounds good, but I want to have a little bit more low end to this. So I'm going to go into the EQ. Again, it's going to be different with every beat you make, all the different sounds you use, but you can take what I'm doing and apply it in different ways throughout your beat if you hear that it needs it. When you hear that something needs to be adjusted or you want more of something, you reach for the plugin that can help you achieve that sound. EQ, I want to boost some of the lows on this snare so it could just be a little beefier. It's going to be around here for this. But I don't want it to get too cluttered, so I'm just gonna go up by like maybe 2 dB. Cool. And then I also wanna have it be a little bit more aggressive, so I am going to throw a clipper on this. I use JST clip. It's a very aggressive clipper. I'm gonna bring this up here, 2 times multiplier, and then bring the mix down and just barely blend it in. So there's like a nice, really distorted, clipped version of the snare, but it's barely being mixed in. I'll show you like all the way up. Too much. Cool, this snare needs to go up too. I want more high end on it as well. And I'm going to turn it down right here just so we can hear it a little bit lower. I like to do that as well. I could turn the headphones down, but this is also going to help you while watching the tutorial. Just bring it real low and just listen to what's going on. This is sounding good. All right, we need to mix those. Low plate again. I just love this reverb, bro. And I'm gonna let this one ring out a lot. I want a huge reverb on this, watch. That sounds good. Let's widen it out a little bit. Bring out a little bit of low end, but not too much, because I do like the low end it has. So let's do a low cut, just somewhere around here. And I am gonna boost a little bit of highs, just so that this part could pop out, watch. After. Just kind of gets the top of those keys. What I want to do for this is EQ. It has a lot of low end in it. I don't want too much. I'll go like that. And what I'm going to do is get cable guys, shaper box, and I'm going to have it pan from left to right. So we'll do a 2-bar pan left to right like this. Maybe 3 bars, 4 bars. There we go. So it's moving from left to right. That's going to be nice. Let's bring it over here. Bring out some of these lows, boost some of the highs. And just like that. I'm also going to add a delay on this. Let's go H delay. And maybe like a 1/4 note delay. So now we're just kind of getting into the effects part of this to kind of just make everything sound a little better. Let's go ping pong like this. And on this cymbal, I like to have reverbs and delays as well. So again, whatever reverb you want to use. I just like how this one sounds. And let's also get a delay on this. Bring this down here. They just sound cool with delays. Paying attention to small things like this too is important. If you listen, if I bring this cymbal down, watch how different the impact is. So here's 44. And then let's go up to 81. It's a huge difference with things like that. You could kind of finesse with open hats and hi-hats as well, because if you kind of make those a little bit louder, especially if they're layered on top of your 808s, it makes your 808s sound louder, makes your kick sound like they're hitting harder. It's all different types of stuff like that. Watch, let me show you. Let me take off the open hats and the cymbal. Watch when the drop happens. Pretty boring. Now with these, just 3 things. You would think the beat's hitting a lot harder. So that's why that would be more in the production side. But you can hear with just things like that, you'll think about that when you're making beats, so that when you're mixing it, stuff starts to kind of click and you'll be like, yeah, I should probably layer something right there so it's more of an impact. I didn't have to do too much EQing to the melodic instruments of this because of sound selection and how they sounded. They just worked. But depending if you have something that sounds muddy, just go in there with an EQ, throw the EQ on, and just go hunt for what sounds muddy. Just bring this in. Don't go too narrow because everything will sound bad. So really listen for the issue you're hearing first, and then go find that issue and go ahead and reduce it. Yep. Cool, that's sounding good. And we still have some headroom. So now let's get this beat sounding louder. To be honest, the type of sound we're going for and that you want to hear is going to be a clipper. When you're hearing the kicks hitting hard, there's a little bit of like nice distortion, saturation. Obviously the clipping happening on the kick and 808, how we get these beats to really hit hard. So that's going to be some type of clipper on the master channel. Could be a soft clipper, could be whatever. And you can just start to push in the volumes here, but I'm going to explain it in a different way in this video. You can also use a limiter, extremely common for ever for years and years and years using a limiter on the master to get the overall volume louder. But for beats and the way we like them to sound, limiters just don't really give us that sound we're going for. Almost every producer, when you're hearing these drums hitting hard, is going to be using some type of clipper. So we have the soft clipper on default loaded up here, but the only thing is there's no input knob on this clipper. I wish there was. Let me show you another clipper real quick. Let's go into IK. And let's go to classic clipper. You'll see here we have an output and an input, and then the shape. This would be a soft clip. This would be a harder clip, and we can adjust that way. With FL soft clipper, there is no input knob. So a workaround for that, let me just take this off real quick, would be either throw a gain plugin on here that's just a way to push gain. I guess a quick way we could do this is a really like bad way to show an example, but we could throw an EQ on and just use this gain function here. So let me show you real quick. Let me put this in between these so you can see. This is the headroom we're gonna have right now. So we got about -3 dB before we even hit 0. So now I'm about to push 5 or 6 dB into the soft clipper. That's going to give us the desired sound that I'm going for, but it might be a little bit too much and start to distort. We'll see what happens. So let's just look at this plugin. So let's just start pushing this up. We have to hit 0 first, obviously, and then go over. Okay, so now we're at about 1 dB into the soft clipper. That's because I have this metering plugin between these two. So it's reading the gain before the soft clipper hits it. If I put this after, you're going to see it's not going to be over, right? So that's why that's happening. I just want to show you here so you can see what's going on as we're pushing in. So let's go for like 5 or 6. There we go. There's the sound we're looking for. It's a little too much. Go here, and then let's turn the kick up in here just a little bit. For fun? Just kidding, that's too much. Cool, that sounds good. Now I'm going to turn these off, and let's just show you what it would be like on something like classic clipper because it does have an input knob. So for the output, I'm going to bring this down a little bit so we stay below 0. You could keep it there, but just for true peak and stuff like that, I'm going to just bring this down. Let's stay in the middle for right now. We can choose if we want to do a soft clip or a hard clip after, and we're just going to push this gain up. So as you can see, this is kind of what we did on the parametric EQ2. With the gain, we're going to push it up just right here. So this is our input gain. Let's press play and see what this sounds like. Okay. Now let's mess with the slope. This is going to be a soft clip. This is going to be a harder clip, as you can see here. So soft clip's going to sound like this. And a harder clip. So obviously all preference. I think I like a bit of a softer clip for this. And if you didn't want to do this and maybe you wanted to use a limiter on the master but still have the kick being clipped and hitting hard, you could just throw any type of clipper on the kick, keep it at the same level, but have that kick be hitting harder, and then maybe use a limiter on the master. So now we're going to be peaking around the same volume almost exactly. I'm going to show you before and after. It's going to be perceived louder because of the clipping we're doing, but hitting at -6 on both. And then we can go over here and figure out however we want to get that loudness. Maybe you wanted to use a limiter. Just showing you a couple different ways you could do it. This is a really good clipper. Shout out to IK. I do have an affiliate link for this clipper if you want to check it out. There'll be a link to that in the description. I do earn a small commission from the affiliate, which helps out the channel at no extra cost to you. Wow, I feel like such a YouTuber saying that. You obviously can also just have a soft clipper here, right? And then just have your drums be pushed into it extremely hard over here if you wanted to. Honestly, a lot of the time there's going to be a soft clipper on the master, and then there's just going to be these volumes being adjusted and being pushed into it really hard. But I just kind of wanted to explain it. That's why in this video I tried to blend both sides of it, as far as gain staging before and then still using some type of clipper on the master and pushing the gain in after. Just trying to find the best way to explain both sides of it and kind of have a hybrid of it, so you still get that sound, but maybe you're still gain staging. I know it's a really long video, but I appreciate you guys for watching. Till the next video, peace.